This is a double Conflux Tawhoa's Felling static strike build. This is not a build guide. This is just me going through what I am working on with it, and I'm going to show you what it looks like doing a Cortex, just so you have an idea of the mechanics and how they function, because it might not be intuitive, because some of it isn't working properly. Now, to begin with, if you want to find more people running similar builds like this, Tawhoa's Felling is going to be the item you look up on PoE Ninja. It's very situational, so most of the people using it are running in a method I am. So let's begin with this weapon and why we're using it. This is Tawhoa's Chosen when you attack with a non-Val slam or strike skill near an enemy. So that's our trigger. I am using trigger bots. So I have 2 Tawhoa's Chosen when I attack near an enemy. This means I don't have to actually be right up on them if I don't want to be. And when the Chosen's attack, if you've never used Static Strike before, it says that there's a static energy that continues dealing damage. The mechanic that's a little broken is that if you use something like Tawhoa's Chosen here, that the static stays after the Chosen disappears. It stays for its duration. What this means is that if you get enough cooldown recovery, you can stack multiple of these static shocks on top of each other, and you can actually see them up on the bar, and you can stack them up, and they will all do their own individual damage to the boss or whatever is there, the beefy rare, and it allows you to do some insane numbers. This is, of course, corrupted, as you can see, to get the inspiration. The endurance charge thing, I would have rather had, I think, fizz damage, maybe attack speed, and it has a decent physical damage roll. At the time of this recording, these are a very cheap unique to buy and then double corrupt yourself. I did that and made this item here. Now, I'm using Trinity. This can be a little bit of an annoyance to get going because you need to have all 3 elements, which you will see later that I am running a lot of things to try to get my elements aligned. We have increased critical strike support, increased critical damage support, static strike. We have melee physical damage support because there's a lot of conversions. And then we have awakened elemental damage with attack support, partly because I wanted the Ellie reflect. That's also just a nice bit of damage. So with that being said, we are also going to be running, I want to make sure we start with this too, the Venarius Astrolabe. So because I have 2 influence, 2 influence, 2 influence, this is giving +3 to level of all elemental skills and support gems, and I have elemental conflux, which is right up here. All of your damage shocks, chills, and ignites. So every bit of damage shocks, chills, and ignites without question. I do not need to have a chance. It will do so. And because of that, that makes my taming really nice, because 48% increased elemental damage with hits and ailments for each type of elemental ailment on the enemy. But we're going to take that a step further, and I'm going to take this moment to show you my Merc, because my Merc is going to be very expensive. It was not as expensive when I built it, but it's expensive now. So this is Leadership's price, and it says you have Scorching, Brittle, and Sapping Conflux, while you have the 2 highest attributes are equal. So if I go to my stats here, you're going to see that my dexterity and intelligence are 281. Was that annoying to do? Yes. But once you do it, every level 83 of the same Merc will have the exact same attribute numbers. So you can just swap your gear over when you find a better Merc. It's even running its own taming, because why not? I have Victario's Charity here because that gives me power and frenzy charges. I have these boots mostly for the dex. This is mostly for the dex. These gloves are for the dex. This is basically for the dex. And this helmet here says that it gains spirit charges and you get physical as extra elemental, but when you use a skill, it'll trigger. Well, it never triggers on Mercs. So because it never triggers on Mercs, that means it is just a constant buff of 5% per spirit charge. And the wand is just going to be a Grace of the Goddess here with some physical to as extra elemental, all of that there. I definitely could have got a better wand. And here is the expensive part, and that is going to be the Replica Shroud of the Lightless. Let me pulling these out to show you as well. This was not as expensive when I got it. Now it's crazy expensive. And if you take a look here, it's just a bunch of added gems. I definitely should have went more into Fizz. I just went with whatever I could get a hold of at the time. Basically they got better as I had more time to. I don't even know if this works, but I put it in there. They got better as I had time to like realize what I was doing. I was still piecing this together actively, and I use this as my all-around merc. This is my merc for my minion build and everything. I just like this merc. Now, all of that said, haste is there. We have elemental weakness, which we're not really using, but you know, he exists. He's good enough to take out T16 mobs. He's nice to have. All right, so basically this is where I'm getting my scorching, brittle, and sapping. And it's not insignificant numbers of all of those because it's able to use the taming to really boost those numbers up. It is actually pretty significant what we can accomplish here. And I'm very, very happy with this. Very happy with this. This is something I did early on in the league. So back to this build. Back to this build and what we're doing. So we have Shroud of the Lightless here. This is kind of a recent addition. We get the Ellie Pen per Abyss Jewel, which is nice. And the Abyss Jewels are partly here to try to make sure it's easier for me to set off my Trinity. The helmet is, I'm going to be honest, it was the last piece I got for any of this gear, which was dumb. But I went to get this helmet, and this was available as is on the market, and I bought it. The main thing I wanted was honestly the influences, but you can't pass by that implicit, or the fizz damage is cold. A little bit of chaos, because I'm not chaos capped at all. So this was really nice, had some life. And then the boots I definitely need to improve. The only reason I got these boots is because of the increased cooldown recovery rate and that movement speed. The increased cooldown recovery rate allows you to actually lower the cooldown of Tawhoa's Chosen. Now, a little bit of a personal thing I want to point out here, just something you'll notice playing this skill. If you have your static strike to be slightly longer time than your Tawhoa's Chosen, which it won't look like this in the map because of the haste over here, which is why I have that up to remember. If you have it like this, that means that every time you swing, you get these Chosens. You probably want to have some decent attack speed because you want to be able to attack while they are down so you can actually get a hit in. Because there's a problem with this build, funny enough, where you actually clear mobs so quickly that you yourself don't get your Rampage, because that's what's going to be from Veteran's Wrath. You can't get your Rampage, you can't get your Trinity, because you can't get that damage yourself, and because you can't get your Trinity ramped up, all of your ghosts will do less damage. So this is something I'm still playing around with, just, it's there. But we have the cooldown recovery, and then I have a Mage Blood. Why do I have a Mage Blood? Because it cost me 12 Divines to pull it out, and I've never used it before. And I said I'd make a build. I'm normally a one build guy, and I went with this as a second build because I got a Mage Blood. These gloves are bad. These gloves are terrible. These gloves are what I picked up because I needed something. I've been trying to turn them into Mercenary's Lot because that's actually pretty nice for this build, and all of my Scour and Chance Orbs have failed. So this is just filler for now so I can run the build. And here's just some, as I said, just generic stuff here. And what else do I want to do? Okay, so let's talk about the actual jewels. So we went through this. So here we have Clarity, empty socket that shouldn't be empty. We have Sigil of Power. This is just nice. It's some extra lightning damage. I throw it down on bosses. And Infernal Cry is just nice because the explosion, right? Smite, Assassin's Mark, and Mark on Hit. We're using Vol Smite. So I'm using Vol Smite to trigger the Assassin's Mark. It seems to make sense to me. It also has a chance to trigger Shade Form, so whatever. Herald of Purity, I'm doing this just for the more fizz damage. We have Enlighten, level 3. Hatred, this is an insane amount of damage. It's physical damage is extra cold damage. Insane for us, and remember, it boosts up this Merc, which is going to then be able to do some more brittle, sapping, and scorching. Scorching is great because this is almost all elemental. And then I have Herald of Ash here, which does burning damage, it's overkill damage, and then fizz damage is extra, another nice little buff there. Automation is Convocation, Steel Skin, and Phase Run. Just some nice things. Now, with all that said, let's take a look at the tree. So the tree, we come over here. Let's start here with the Ascendancy because it's really important. So we have Perfect Crime. This is what gives us the trigger bots. The 35% less damage with triggered spells. As far as I'm aware, this does not affect Tawhoa's Chosen. Tawhoa Chosen is a spell. The spell summons the minions. The minions summoned do not get the less trigger. So you're just doubling the amount of Tawhoa's Chosen you're summoning. Pretty nice. It's just doubling. So it's just a free double. This is going to have hits have 30% chance to deal 50% more area damage. It's just obvious. Cooldown recovery rate is amazing because this is a cooldown dependent skill. And then we have Born in the Shadows, which is just some blind and reduced damage. So we start off here. We're taking the nodes you would expect. We grab some attack speed, cast speed. We get some life on enemy killed. A little life up here. Go down. I'll head over this way to the right first. I have an issue right now getting intelligence, so I'm using this. If I try to take this out, you'll see it's an intelligence issue. Well, that's everything with my builds is. And then we have the increased elemental damage with attacks, penetrate, and then I have exposures. I go down. Spell damage, suppression, and I inflict exposure when you suppress their spell damage. My suppression is 91. I think it was 99, but it's 91 right now. And then I go up to here, and we have the... It used to be 99, but I changed the gloves trying to scour chance. Mark the Prey here. And we go over here for Leech. This Leech is just nice to keep things rolling. 5% of Leech is instant. Keeps me alive. Grab Accuracy. And this is going to be our first jewel. And this is just some crit. Just some basic crit stuff. And we're going to head over to here. And this is our Watcher's Eye. It's not good. The only thing good here is the crit strike chance. We have a little bit of clarity, which does affect us. But haste obviously affects us too. But there's way better jewels you could get. This is just the first Watcher's Eye I purchased, and I've kept it. We go down to here. We just grab the spell suppression on our way. We get to here, and we're getting skill effect duration. So what this is going to do is going to keep our lightning balls on the ground longer. Come over here and get Sentinel. Go up with life. And we're going to head up here. And this is life. Go over here for elemental damage. And... grab the hits have 50% chance to treat elemental resistance values as inverted. And we're also going to grab our skill effect duration right here again. We go over this way, and I just put some tattoos to leech and some fizz damage because I can. And here is one of my jewels. This one, as you can see here, has accuracy and just a little damage, life, nothing great. We come down to here, and I have strength going into... physical damage is extra chaos damage. Every 5 seconds, you gain 30% of physical damage is extra fire damage for 4 seconds. And I have 40% of physical damage converted to fire damage. And over here, I'm grabbing the crit stuff along with the area of effect if you've done a critical strike recently. I go up to here, and this is going to be increased life, reduced cost, just because this is rather expensive, and I believe reduced cost is good for inspiration. And right here, a chance for skills to not consume a cooldown on use. The reason this is here is because with haste, I end up being able to attack much faster than my chosen. If I don't use the cooldown, that's just 2 more enemies, that's 2 more lightning strike piles. It's just really nice. Down here is going to be some melee crit. I need more crit. These 2 are the next pickups I would take. As I said, I'm not adding a POB, but right now these are like 1.2 million DPS per, just so you know, to have an idea. Head up to here, go over, and this is going to have just lightning with staff, which does nothing. Taunt doesn't help us. Energy shield, lightning damage with attacks. This is just filler. And we go up here, and here we have the Sovereignty, which I think everyone kind of knows what this does. It's just a reservation. And then this is, again, because I need intelligence. And this is a really big one. So this is LE damage, accuracy rating, critical strike, power charge stuff. Grab all of that. And then there's this, as I said, this one intelligence up here. And that is kind of my treat. Now, what does this look like in practice? I'll show you real quick on a Cortex. So as you can see, this guy, I didn't even get to anything here. Try to get to where I can use my guys. There they go. So you can see I got light. That lightning's not me. That's from them. I might not be able to get close enough to anything to actually do anything. I'm trying to go slow purposefully to hit it. So now you can see what this is what happens when you see my Trinity go off. I can just run through everything without even attacking. There's the lightning on the ground. There we go. There's lightning on the ground, as you can see. I died for it to show it to you, but that's the lightning on the ground. And you can do this to... But you can see, sometimes you attack, and you can't even get your... I won't even get my attack out before everything's dead, so it's hard to trigger on myself. So there we go. Just... If I wasn't trying to show it off, I would have sped through the whole thing pretty much instantly. So here's going to be the boss. Put this down. And see right there it says 6. So that means there's 6 piles here of lightning. And these lightning actually come, I believe, with your trigger bots. So... Look at all that lightning. And if I'm ever having any issues getting my Trinity to go off, which normally I don't, I can just do... the added lightning, and then once I get half of it, I'll do the war cry for the fire, and that's generally enough. But like right here, I can't even hit anything in time before it dies from my other stuff. There's my Trinity up again. What I get for just trying to let them clear themselves, and I didn't pay attention. I have been leveling, by the way, this character from like 87 doing Cortexes and Synthesis, and so I don't die often. Of course, I'll die when I'm trying to showcase things. So like, here's how far away you can be. And of course, if you're up close, you're in danger. And it can be a little hard to see what you're doing. Let's do their thing. Yeah, you can stay a distance away. And there's, see the lightning triggers, the trigger bot. And I know I need like leap slam and stuff on this, but it'll happen eventually. Now if you're wondering how many stacks can I get up there when I'm like actually concentrating, I get 14 to 15. So if I were to get 14 and 15 and it's following me and it's hitting the boss, we're talking 14, 15 stacks. That's 16 stacks on top of me. If I open up my path of building, just to give you an idea, go to Static Strike and I do the 15, full DPS, it's claiming I'm doing 52 million DPS with like, you know, 52 million DPS. Is that accurate? No, it's going to be lower than that, always, of course, but you have to remember if you throw it into POB for this version, you have to make sure you enable the sapping, brittle, and scorching. That is a significant boost to the taming. You're going to be getting frenzy charges and everything like that. And as you can see here, I mentioned it earlier, my attack speed is now 56. So if I were to do that, those 2 hits, only one of them can summon the Chosen, so technically I need more cooldown. I can get that very easily with the new, I think it's a prismatic jewel, whatever the new gem is. There's one of them where if you have 2 shaper items, you get 20%, you can get 20% cooldown recovery. Well, the thing is, this is already a shaper item. This is a shaper item, so all I have to do is that for 20% more. If I got rid of the mage blood, you can get 20% very easily on a shaper belt, so that's also available. But yeah, this is just like a showcase of what I'm doing, mostly to save for myself for future leagues, because if this doesn't get nerfed, I might go into this same concept later. There's definitely going to be better ways to build it. This is me just messing around, trying things out to see what I want to do. And thought you might find it interesting, and I had someone using the double confluxes with the mercenary, with all this new stuff, and maybe if you want a meme build to play around with, this is your item.